So hey everybody, welcome to CXD, the Engine Service Design podcast, where we're sharing what you need to know to reimagine your customer's experience and design for its delivery. Now, on the show, we share insights, tools and strategies to help you design and deliver win-win experiences. Now, those are ones that are really valuable for your customers as well as for your business. My name's Oliver King. I'm a co-founder and a managing partner at Engine. And in today's episode, we want to continue the theme of customer experience for aviation. Now, over the years, we've been really lucky to have worked alongside customer experience leads and teams in some of the highest performing airlines and airports across the world, helping them to fix, reimagine, or transform their customers' experiences. Now, indeed, I'm very proud of this, just recently, one of our clients, Helsinki Airport, was rated one of the top 5 airports in the world and the number 1 best in Europe. So that was absolutely brilliant to hear. Today, I'm joined by David Pinder, our aviation practice lead and design director at Engine. As you might imagine, David's been front and center of our work, helping with airports in the Middle East, North America, Europe and Scandinavia. And for a few years too, David was embedded with Dubai airports as a customer experience transformation lead, reimagining and implementing the way that spaces, processes, communications, technology and people come together to deliver outstanding experiences. So David, it's lovely to have you back on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ollie. Very much looking forward to continuing that conversation around customer experience inside airports, and I think we've got a great topic to talk about today as well.
We do. So today we're going to talk about accessibility and what that kind of means in an airport setting, what good looks like, and I guess try to share what advice we can about how you go about ensuring that customer experience teams and operation leads are really doing all they can to move towards delivering, a future state airport. Now, at Engine, we've dealt with accessibility and inclusivity across many different settings and different modes of transport. We've worked on cars, trains, planes, as well as in retail and workplace settings. And one thing that's really struck us is really often how out of date the mindset can be towards accessibility. For a start, disability often seems to be treated as an exception, and you routinely see people being treated more like they're cargo than actually passengers, as if they're the one with the problem, as opposed to the things that are around them could have been designed better. Is that a thing you see often? Was that a thing you sort of saw elsewhere, David?
Yeah, I think absolutely you're onto something there, Ollie. I think in the past, specifically with airport experiences, we're often focused on, accommodating people based upon arguably on their ticket class, with first class and business class passengers, being able to enjoy lounges, priority boarding, some of those more premium amenities and some of the more high touch support, whilst arguably, the economy class passengers, are often left to navigate through crowded terminals, dare I say it, with longer queues, and fewer comforts. And obviously, if you had a disability, things were worse if you were traveling in economy. But even in first class, seldom do those passengers with visible or hidden disabilities have the freedom and independence of other passengers in the airport, let alone how they would be living their lives normally outside of those environments.
They seem really, really constrained, and it feels like not someone having to go through that experience. It feels like they're having a very, very poor experience, and a lot needs to be done about it. So, are we seeing things change, or is it more of the same? We sort of stuck in a rut about this.
Yeah, no, I think it's great to see. Thankfully, yes, things are definitely changing. When we look at things like societal attitudes and awareness around accessibility and inclusivity, they've evolved greatly, and as has the approach to airport design, service provision, and more generally, great customer experience. What we're seeing today, there's a growing recognition that every passenger, regardless of ticket class, really deserves, a welcoming, accessible, and accommodating airport experience.
You're right, because there are lots of actually great examples of people who are doing this really well. So It makes me think of Gatwick Airport for one. So they have this visual guidance system, and what they're doing is they're using customer smartphones and kind of beacon technology throughout the airport and they're using that to give people with visual impairments kind of auditory cues and guidance so they can navigate the airport more independently. There's another in Ireland. It's Shannon Airport in Ireland, and they have some really great examples of multi-sensory rooms for people with neurodiverse conditions, and that they're really there to help those passengers kind of just relax, de-stress, let go of some of the anxieties they have before a flight, and those environments they're so busy, they're so hectic, so it can be so stressful for people. And then this is a really cool one. So in Tokyo, Haneda Airport, what they're really majoring on is communications accessibility, and they're doing that through a whole bunch of really innovative multilingual support services. So they're for example, you can have sign language conversations with customer service agents through video calls, but they've even got these AI powered robots that can understand and communicate in all languages, including sign language too. Anyway, sorry, I went off on one. So back on topic. So you were saying, weren't you, that there are these kind of, so things are changing, societal attitudes are changing, and that new awareness is really kind of driving change forward. But reflecting on that is obviously important, but why is it so important?
Let's be truthful about this. Aside from doing the right thing, it's about enhancing, the overall reputation of the airport. It's about maximising its appeal to as broad a range of passengers as possible. But I think it's also really important to remember here, Ollie, that designing an airport from an accessibility and inclusivity perspective, it doesn't just improve it for some people. It really does improve it for everyone. All passengers. And also not just all passengers, but everyone who works in the airport as well. And what we do see is behind every great passenger experience, there's a great employee experience as well. So and going beyond that, when we start to think about what that might mean, if we start to think about things like wide automatic doors, spacious restrooms that work for everyone, irrespective of what you need, taking out curbs and level changes. Think about things like visual paging systems as opposed to audible announcements, tactile pathways, family restrooms. These are all commonplace design features that make things, better for everyone. You can see that from both a passenger perspective, but you can also see that from, an employee perspective as well. And when on this subject matter, it's not only good for the airport, but it also gives a really positive first impression about the destination. And what we're seeing, we know it's a big theme in aviation, especially in customer experience design, is that idea around creating a sense of place. And when creating a sense of place, the last thing you want is for that place to feel unwelcoming, because it's not going to portray great on the destination.
So that's very, very true, isn't it? There are some airports you go to where you're kind of, the way you're welcome there, you're thinking, I'm really not looking forward to, getting into the city that I've just come through the airport of. So yeah, it all makes sense from a passenger's point of view, but does it make sense from a business perspective as well? Like, why do this?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, but by catering to the needs of all passengers, airports can really, enhance the customer satisfaction, loyalty, and retention. And of course, creating a welcoming and accessible environment leads to increased revenue opportunities. And why does it create more revenue opportunities? Well, as passengers are more likely to spend time and money on amenities and services, when they feel relaxed and valued.
No, of course, yeah. There's like a direct connection between those things, isn't there? David, you recently wrote a blog piece, didn't you? And we've actually put a link to that in the description here. But in it, you were discussing a set of considerations when designing accessible and inclusive airport experiences. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. As airports continue to evolve into dynamic hubs of connectivity and mobility, they must embrace inclusive design principles and really begin to prioritize accessibility and inclusivity in their passenger experience strategies.
So sorry, so you just referred to them as dynamic hubs of connectivity and mobility. Like, what do you mean by that? What's that all about?
Okay, let me explain. Well, simply put, airports are transforming into more than places. where you catch a flight. They're becoming these lively, multifunctional spaces. Where you can shop, you can eat, relax. While connecting to different destinations internationally, or domestically, and that's on a plane, a train, or any form of local mobility.
Got it. Okay, so dynamic hubs of connectivity and mobility. Just should have said that to begin with. So go on. What are these considerations then?
Okay, so the first one might seem obvious, but it's often overlooked. It's around accessibility. So this is about ensure that the airport facilities and services are accessible to passengers with disabilities, including those with mobility impairments, visual or hearing impairments as well, but also any other special needs that passengers may have.
Okay, so that means designing an airport where every facility and every service is really seamlessly accessible to passengers with disabilities, as you said, including those with visual or hearing impairments. And what you're doing there is you're trying to ensure a really smooth and inclusive travel experience for everybody.
Yes. In short, yes. It's an airport where accessibility is the standard. Wheelchair ramps, tactile signage, train staff assistance are all readily available. It's about empowering passengers with disabilities to be able to navigate the terminal independently. It's an airport where inclusivity is ingrained in every aspect. Whether that's from priority boarding to innovative technologies, ensuring that every passenger, regardless of their ability, feels welcomed, supported throughout their journey.
Cool. Okay, so I have a feeling you might test me on these at the end. So the first one's accessibility. Got that. What's the second consideration then?
Okay, so the second one is it's about adopting universal design principles. And this is about to create environments and experiences that are usable by people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds. And what this involves, Ollie, is designing facilities, amenities, and signage that are just intuitive, easy to navigate for everyone, regardless of their physical or cognitive abilities.
Okay, so these universal design principles, could you bring that to life for me a little bit? So what might be some examples of those?
Yeah, sure. So the most obvious principle might be simple, intuitive use. What that's about? That's about ensuring you design environments and services that are easy to understand, regardless of a person's experience, regardless of their knowledge, language, language skills, or even concentration levels. Because as we know, not everyone's concentrations is the same level whilst navigating through an experience or a service. You might have a principle around things like equitable use, which is about ensuring that your design is useful and marketable to people with diverse abilities. And another might be flexibility in use, which involves designing products and spaces that accommodate various individual preferences and abilities. So, if I take, for example, an adjustable information kiosk, who can be used by someone who's able to stand, but equally can also be used by somebody in a wheelchair. Or apps that allow people to customize how they receive information about their flights, aligned to their needs, but also aligned to their things like their preferences as well.
Yeah, and that idea of being able to kind of digitally remain in touch with your experience, maybe to adjust things, just makes you feel kind of confident and in control. Okay, so the universal design principles, they're there to ensure that every aspect is designed for everyone, regardless of their age, their ability, or their background. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of the, we've talked in previous episodes about a customer experience vision and setting out what that experience should be like and what the DNA of the experience should be like. And it feels like these principles kind of get encoded in that, or are they a separate thing to that?
I think what we see here is, in short, yes, by weaving those universal design principles into every detail, what you're doing there is you're guaranteeing accessibility and usability for everyone, regardless of their physical or cognitive abilities.
Cool, got it. Okay, how many principles are there?
Well, sometimes we talk about the power of three, but actually we're talking about the power of 5 today. So there's 5 principles that we're going to talk through. So a couple left to go.
Okay, go for it. Crack on. Number 3. What's that then?
So number 3 that we wrote about was all around diverse services. So it's about offering a diverse range of services and a range of it. It's all about offering a diverse range of services and amenities to cater to the needs and passengers of all. Sorry, the needs and preferences of all passengers. So when you think about this, this includes, dining, shopping, relaxation, productivity for those people that want to stay productive on the go, as well as those entertainment options. But it's not just about doing that. It's about doing those things that appeal to the various tastes, interests, and also the budgets. Not the recognition that not all passengers have the same ability to spend. So making sure that we're aligning them against those things as well. So let me help you imagine that. So imagine an airport whose F&B offering accommodates various diet requirements, and not just the requirements, but culinary tastes, and also, as I mentioned there before, budgets as well. Or imagine an airport that helps passengers stay productive whilst traveling, or provides entertainment for all types of different passengers, whether that's from family fun, to those passengers who really want to get immersed in the culture of the locality, or through to those maybe more interactive and immersive experiences that we see becoming more commonplace in airports throughout the world. I'll keep going on this one because I know we've got a couple more to get through. But the fourth consideration is around sort of cultural sensitivity. What do we mean by cultural sensitivity? This is about recognising and respecting passengers' cultural diversity and striving to create an inclusive and welcoming environment, for people from different cultural backgrounds, which, as we'll appreciate, different people travel from different parts of the world. It's this lovely melting point of diversity. How do we really begin to celebrate that and also accommodate and support that as well? But in addition to that, regarding the placemaking, mentioned earlier, this is also a great opportunity to begin to showcase and celebrate the diverse cultural traditions and maybe artworks of the region. It's an opportunity to provide that multilingual signage and announcements. It's about offering those diverse food offerings. It's about offering inclusive advertisements, as well as offering religious and spiritual accommodations, as needed. And why is that important? So that allows people to continue to practice, their practice their religion as they are traveling through the airport as well.
Got it. Okay. So that cultural sensitivity that feels really, really important, and it feels as well as if it's probably like a massive behavioural thing, because it ensures that airport policies, practices, processes, most importantly, probably the colleagues on the ground are all genuinely comfortable, highly capable, and respectful of passengers from all walks of life. And it's about understanding those cultural differences, etiquette, common customs, and cultural sensitivities to really maintain that very kind of respectful and welcoming environment. I mean, it can all go wrong, can't it? If those things aren't appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and I think the final consideration we talk about is around sensory. And so what this is all about is being mindful of the passenger's sensory experiences and creating environments that are comfortable for individuals with those sensory sensitivities as well. And what do we mean by that? This involves minimizing noise, bright lights, other sensory stimuli, that may overwhelm some passengers. Additionally, it might be about providing, quiet zones, relaxation areas, and other amenities to help passengers manage their sensory challenges during their time at the airport. So the example, you gave earlier of Shannon Airport Island, it's an excellent example of how some of those, sensory experiences and challenges are being overcome for passengers whilst traveling.
Got it. Cool. Okay. So that was number 5, right? That was the last one. Now, before you ask me, I'm going to try and repeat these back to you. So the 5 considerations we had this idea of almost like an accessibility first mindset. That was really critical. The use of these universal design principles to shape all the decisions you're making about how to kind of orchestrate that experience. We're talking about the importance of diversity of service offerings, making sure that those have broad and wide appeal. And we were talking about cultural sensitivity, the really important one, getting that right, and then the last one about sensory sensitivities. Did I get it right?
Well done. You certainly did. That's it. But Ollie, what I think this really boils down to, it's about being customer centered, in everything you do. and really taking the time to work with and explore what customers need, and in fact, what frontline colleagues and operations teams need as well. And you're doing all this to develop and maintain a high performing, highly accessible, but also inclusive airport.
Yeah, and that's what it is at the end of the day, isn't it? It's kind of getting that win-win between a high-performing airport, which the airport wants, and then this fantastic passenger experience, which passengers want, and also you mentioned before about that making it a great place to work for colleagues.
Yeah.
David, I think that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
No problem.
I guess if anybody has any thoughts or questions about that, they can reach out to you through the links in the description.
Yeah, they certainly can. I'd be glad to help, but also I'd be keen to learn from whatever people can share as well.
Fantastic. Now, talking about links in the description, we've got some other bits down there. We've got a passenger experience checklist that you can download and use to self-assess your performance, and by doing that, you will find, hopefully some thought-provoking hints and tips and opportunity areas for you. But also, please don't forget to share and like CXD on all your channels. And in the meantime, till we meet again, from David and I, thank you for listening. Take care and see you soon.